sex trafficking.
The victim of sex trafficking.
Trapped in a sex trafficker's web.
It's a crime you've likely heard of before, with journalists nationwide covering the issue extensively. No problem, right?
We found that a lot of people had very strong opinions about how the media were covering trafficking, and they weren't very good.
That's Ann Johnston, founder of the IRENA Project, an initiative aimed to change the way we talk about sex trafficking.
It was researchers who were doing research on trafficking and said, media coverage is horrible, and they're contributing to the problem.
So what are the media missing? This team says often sex trafficking is misrepresented, and it can happen in a lot of ways.
If you just Google sex trafficking, the stock photos are incredibly stereotypical and limiting.
A quick Google search of my own seemed to confirm this.
Oftentimes, people who are trafficked aren't being chained to any, physically chained to any sort of establishment. And there is emotional abuse, there is financial dependency that happens.
Another media misrepresentation.
What I've seen in the reporting, even more recently, it's still listed as a prostitution charge and not contextualized as an issue of trafficking.
It's these kinds of classifications that, without clarification, can haunt you.
Every time a story was written about her, whether it was about her new business or her life, she was referred to as a former 16-year-old prostitute. And what she told reporters is that always labels who I am.
Prostitution isn't the only charge that might need clarification.
A lot of times we will see pictures of women in the media who were arrested as a potential offender, and in fact they were a victim themselves.
Hunter told me about a term called bottom bitch, a trafficked woman who traffickers make handle money and schedule appointments.
In reality, she's just as much a victim. She's had to go through the same life that these women have gone through, and has reached this status, per se, that now entitles her to be able to coordinate this.
And what about all those Walmart trafficking stories piling up? Do people really get snatched in superstore parking lots? And what about when big sporting events come into town?
I am not familiar with any situations in which that has actually led to a trafficking situation. Again, it's sometimes people are writing stories without a complete understanding of what the circumstances are.
These researchers say all of this misrepresentation can hurt. It can hurt survivors, consumers of news, but more than anyone, potential victims of trafficking who don't know what signs to look for. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sydney Persing, reporting.